Drew, introduce yourself.
What's up, everyone? I am in Alabama from North Carolina, training for a couple weeks, and yeah, unexpected. Brandon stepped out, so I'm here for however long we're rocking.
And joining us, as always, is our resident expert, 10th Planet Black Belt, Matt Skaff.
What's up, guys? I'm back as always, ready to talk about a loaded UFC card this weekend. I can't wait to get to that topic.
All right. And another black belt joining us for the first time on Around the Mat is our good friend, Hunter Colvin.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
And also joining us for the first time is Rafa Esparza.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I like to say it's an honor to be here, but also, did Brandon run just because I came on? Because I'll host it if he doesn't want to come on. I mean, I don't host enough shows.
Yep, he did. He didn't want to lose to you specifically. All right, so we're going to just roll right in here. So the first topic is strictly jiu-jitsu topic. I want to hear y'all's ideas and about Ryan Hall competing at ADCC. What do y'all think about that? Drew, let's start with you.
I think it's awesome. I'm a huge Ryan Hall fan. I used to go and train with him a couple of times a year, and I actually think, despite how some of his MMA fights go, his wrestling and top game I've always thought is like some of the coolest stuff that I've felt anywhere. So I think it's really exciting to see him in a tournament with some of the more modern today era folks. And yeah, I think he's gonna probably surprise a lot of people.
Skaff?
Ryan Hall is one of those guys that I think a lot of the new generation doesn't really appreciate. He kind of stopped competing in jiu-jitsu. He's like a Rodolfo Vieira. Now, we've gotten to see both those guys obviously compete in the UFC, but I think since jiu-jitsu started to boom recently, I think every jiu-jitsu school knows that. It's never been a better time to be an owner. Take COVID out, right? So if you're in a state that's more, free, you're getting a lot of students right now. And again, there's a lot of guys starting jiu-jitsu, and I don't think they realize how important Ryan Hall was to the community. His instructionals have been game-changing for many, many people. He's had some phenomenal runs at ADCC already. His last ADCC, he had an incredible run, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again against the new school. I love old school versus new school guys. Ryan's still at the age where he can compete against the best guys in the world. Like, he's physically still in his prime. And I think this is kind of this, or maybe the next ADCC is going to be kind of the last one that he has a shot at winning. And I think Ryan winning an ADCC title, especially after his last fight, like, we kind of know now at least that Ryan's not going to be a UFC champion, but I'd love to see him become an ADCC champion. And I think him coming back and kind of redeeming himself with the ADCC gold medal would be just a perfect end to the Ryan Hall story.
Hunter?
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. It's just always intriguing to see like the old school versus the new school guys. That being said, in my personal experience, it's hard to like compete at a high level at both sports, MMA and jiu-jitsu. So with him focusing on MMA so much, I'm just interested to see how well he can do at ADCC. He's obviously a jiu-jitsu wizard and all that, and I think this will be a good test for him and see where he's at.
Ruff?
Excellent blue belt analysis from both of our esteemed colleagues over here. I would like to point this out very quickly. Yes, it's been 10 years, though, since he's really competed in the ADCC format. And before we even go into the idea of how hard it can be if you are competing in that realm, let's just figure out that most of the articles written about this mostly are writing with the, is he coming back? Because it stems from Mo, who we all know as one of the organizers of the event, essentially saying, hey, there is a possibility he could come back. The actual phraseology says, looks like Ryan Hall might come back. So all the articles written about it essentially write it with this famous Ryan Hall look of, if you want to figure out if he's coming back or not. Yeah. So I would say this to you guys. You mentioned, Skaff, a little bit about the old school versus the new school. One of the things that I really like about it is, Ryan Hall is one of those OG leg lockers. So the question is, if he is competing at an ADCC, it would be interesting to see how some of that new series of leg lockers now have kind of either eclipsed it, or if he's able to keep up at a realm that is not just MMA, because he looks great in MMA. I am curious to see how he would be in this format. So I would love to see him do it. I don't love seeing him always in MMA. And I've told him this personally. I've said, listen, dude, you do what you need to do, but it always makes me sad when we lose our jiu-jitsu people to MMA, because I would rather they just make tons of money through jiu-jitsu, but that is not feasible at the moment.
I agree.
So-
and I think, I agree with you. I just think there's so many matchups to be made with Ryan Hall in this division. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a Gio Martinez versus Ryan Hall? Cabrinia's son versus Ryan Hall. The one match that I'd love to see more than any of those, probably Mikey Musumeci versus Ryan Hall. Very similar games. They're both, 50-50 experts. I want to see Mikey Musumeci versus Ryan Hall.
Both innovators.
Yeah. That's the match to be made. Whether that happens at ADCC or just a super fight, like that's probably that's the one match from this division I want to see. What about you guys? Are there any matches you want to see Ryan Hall in that division?
I would like to
Go
see
ahead, Rob.
Ryan against Kennedy.
Okay.
Him versus Kennedy would be hot fire. But I mean, like, dude, even if you look at some of the mega stars that are happening right now, you're looking at him versus Tackett. That'd be fun. Him versus any of these new school guys who would be like, maybe they're not leg lockers, but how would it fare with somebody completely different? I just love the fact that Ryan Hall is somebody who's willing to go out there, willing to put it out on the line. And it's kind of weird because you forget, like, dude can probably do some shit that still would be problematic for a lot of these new kids. So I don't know, man, but like, if I'm Keith Krikorian and I heard that Ryan Hall's in this and you are able to make it to an ADCC, you'd be like, dude, I'm going to jump at that chance. So whoever gets a match with him is just lucky as hell.
Also, I would say real quick too, I don't know if this changes things with like the DDS and the B team being a thing now, but I had heard that Gary Tonin was considering cutting to 66, or I don't know if Ryan's bigger now and would do 70. If Gary and Ryan were in the same weight class, whether it was 66 or 77, I think that could be a really super slick match. I don't know though. Like you said, it's a big if. I didn't know he wasn't confirmed to do it. So
yeah, I mean, if Mo's saying it, you can probably take that with a little bit of credibility. The hard part is, as a guy who works in news, I love conditional language. So it's always allegedly, supposedly, maybe, might, could. When you hear those words, I get a little trepidatious, but I love entertaining the thought. And I think it's good for discussion because Ryan Hall could easily watch this and be like, fuck y'all, I'm going to go there and I'll mess up all these guys.
Hunter, what matchups would you like to see?
Oh, I'm not really even sure, to be honest. It depends on whether he would do 66 or 77. But yeah, just him going against anybody would be cool.
So we touched on MMA a little bit with Ryan Hall's last fight. There were some MMA fights this last weekend, and there was a specific one that I'm sure we all saw, where the guy missed weight not only once but twice. They had to Paulo Costa missed weight, and they had to change it to a catchweight fight, and then they had to change it to a light heavyweight fight because he couldn't make that one. I want to hear you guys a couple thoughts. Let's see, how can we fix this in MMA? And what kind of consequences should there be? Was the 20% like pay cut enough? Like, what are y'all's thoughts on the whole situation? Let's start with you, Hunter.
I just don't think there's like ever an excuse to miss weight. I've been doing, combat sports for 13 years and I've never once missed weight in my career. I think it's just guys being lazy and unprofessional. But I think the consequences that were dealt were the consequences that needed. He sacrificed I think up to 30% of his purse, and then he's no longer allowed to fight at middleweight. He has to fight at light heavyweight. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, here's the deal, man. Paulo Costa's too handsome. He's too handsome to be successful. He's got so many other things going on. He is the new face of Brazil, right? Brazil doesn't really have. We got Charles Oliveira, but he's not the face of Brazil. I'd say Paulo Costa is probably the most famous fighter currently fighting from Brazil. And from the stories I hear, girls just flock to him. This dude's partying all the time. He doesn't care about training camp. He's like, we're not doing an 8-week training camp. Let's do a 4-week training camp. This guy's eating all the food. He's partying, getting with all the chicks. He doesn't care about the title. Costa, he's done. It's the curse of the Luke Rockhold curse. Gets the polo contract. All of a sudden, he doesn't have a chin. But look, I want the polo contract. Give me that. I'll take the modeling contract over being UFC champion. I'm being serious. That's where the money is. And so I think Costa's making his money elsewhere, especially with, what we've been seeing of fighters coming out. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Costa was actively trying to get cut from the UFC so he could get paid somewhere else. But this guy isn't focused. That's what I got to say about Costa.
Ruff, you look like you're waiting to say something.
Oh, I am. And I'm just discouraged by these warriors that are speaking, because I would like to bring up fat people's rights. As an actual fat person, I would tell you this. That man walked in 25 pounds on fight week, and when they said, "Are you going to cut the weight?" he went, "Nah." This man is the Rosa Parks of fighting fat. And I got to tell you, when I saw that he was missing weight, I just thought, the balls on this man to show up like that. Then he asked for a catch weight, which somehow managed to be okay with everybody. And I was still confused. And he missed that catch weight. And I thought, this is commitment that I've never seen before in my life, to the point where, we don't really call people fat. It's not something you do in society, but there is such a thing as fight fat. And our friends over at Jitsticks actually made a very funny meme of me looking slightly obese as a result of it, being like, who are you to call anybody fat? And I'm like, well, first of all, one of us can make 185 right now, and that's me. Now, granted, I might not be able to make it tomorrow, but at least if somebody asked me to, I'd be like, yeah, I can get under the wire here. I just think the idea is this. Not only did he ask for a weight to actually be there, when he went up a weight class, the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, is he going to make a run at 265 too? Like, is he just going to keep going past all these weight classes? And I got to tell you, man, he's a trendsetter. He's a hero, and I applaud him. So I don't know what these guys are talking about.
Drew, let's hear it.
Man, I'll just speak to like the only part that I didn't hear kind of covered so far, which is you asked how to stop missing weight like this. I almost don't know if there's a financial incentive that could do it, unless it's like taking almost the whole purse. Like I think it would almost have to be either more than half the purse, but really something substantial on your record. I mean, I'm guessing the commission, it's not like set up where a win doesn't count anymore, but I mean, maybe the outcome of the fight doesn't go into the UFC ranking formula or algorithm, however they do it. I think there has to be some sort of career outcome that really hits someone's career for them to stop habitually missing weight. I don't think like 20%, 30%, or even like 40% of a fight purse is going to stop it. But
they've been doing these things where they said there's like 10% per pound. And I was like, yo, if you miss 10% per pound, he would have actually had to given money away. Like,
that's
from
crazy.
His bank account.
I'm not mad at that.
That's crazy. My thought just before we move on was always just same day weight cuts and hydration tests, and then nobody could, cut too much weight. But we're gonna move on.
Let's ask Hunter one question. So Hunter, you're the MMA fighter. You're killing it right now. Let me first say that your last couple of fights, I went back and watched, and just looked awesome, man. I was really shocked to see how good you were as a striker. But anyways, you're in this situation, right? Guys missing weight. How much weight does it really start to piss you off? And when does it get to a point where you go, like, is there ever a point where you just go, I'm not going to fight this guy? Like, he's trying to, I'm trying to fight at 170 or 185, and he's coming in like Paulo Costa. Like, what's your thoughts with something like this happening?
Yeah, like Each pound pisses me off because like at getting down to 170, like when you get to those last 2 or 3 pounds, it's like miserable. Sometimes it can be even hours of work. So like if a guy, maybe if he misses by a couple or whatever, it's like, oh, you had like a bad sauna session or whatnot. But if you miss by over five, then you're not even trying at that point, and you might be trying to cheat or you just might be lazy.
Hunter, I want to bring this up to
So-
you as well. I was not surprised by your striking, unlike Skaff. I want to know if you thought there was any credence to the fact that Izzy said that he broke essentially Ricky Martin, Brazilian Ricky Martin over here. And I've wondered, though, if that's the case, do you think there's some credence to that? Because he hasn't quite looked the same. And I don't know if I give enough credit to that as a thing, but he does look like there is a little element of him, aside from not making the weight, that just is different.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't look the same. I mean, sometimes losses can be like that, he like felt what the highest level is like, and he might be like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to achieve that. And like, that can mess with you.
Do y'all think that it just might be a case of like we saw that he's invincible? Like he was just sleeping guys and running through guys, and he looked massive and he hit so hard, and then Izzy made him look like a human, and then now he's having these human traits. Is that a case of what's happening?
Dude, it's kind of like when Xerxes got hit by that arrow, and it's just like, or I guess it was a spear, and he sees the blood trickle. Like, it doesn't kill him, but he sees that he can bleed. And Paulo Costa kind of had that. He was undefeated. He had that. I mean, people thought he was going to run through Izzy. He was just too big, too strong. He's just going to kill him. And
Skaff,
he
that's
got
the reference you were going to go for?
And he got absolutely – look, it's the Xerxes. Look, because Xerxes had this unstoppable army, right? Paulo Costa was jacked. I mean, you talk about Overeem. I mean, Paulo Costa looked like just a slightly smaller version of Overeem. And he got absolutely picked apart. I think you're right, Hunter. That loss like that, you just kind of realize you're not at that level, and it's going to take a long time to get to that level.
Do you think also, you were mentioning he's living this good life, sustaining where you need to be to succeed in MMA is a mental game that is very difficult to master. Like, you might have a good 5-year run and then something happens and you got to get back to that same person you were, but then it becomes that you weren't that person for 3 years or 4 years. So getting away from that, I've wondered if he's just been like, dude, I like wearing these silk shirts and drinking my wine and just chilling. That guy, that's a hard thing to do. Now y'all are feeding me good food. Yeah, I'm just not.
Well, hey, that's some people's goals. Some people's goals are to get to that point, wearing silk shirts, hanging out with models, and sitting poolside. And so, hey, if that's his goal and he's hit it, let the man do what he wants to do.
All right, let's move on to this UFC card coming up. We got some great fights coming up this weekend. We're going to talk about a couple of them. The most grappling interesting one, I think, is Dan Hooker versus Islam. I don't even want to say his last name. Islam's been running through people. Looks like he's got the Khabib style of like heavy grappling, lots of pressure, never-ending cardio. But Dan Hooker's got an interesting style. He's good on his feet. He's a good grappler as well. What do y'all think that one looks like? Let's start with you, Drew.
I'm gonna lean towards Islam on that fight. I know that might be kind of an easy pick, but Khamzat, I'm sure you may talk about him later too, but I'm all on the train for Islam and Khamzat. I like Hooker a lot. I think he has some good front headlock work, some guillotines that are maybe a little underrated. Maybe he could catch something on a shot, but if it's like the grappling aspect of the fight, I would definitely lean towards Islam a little bit. On this one, I really like Dan Hooker. Like, he's one of my favorite fighters. I would like to see him catch a W though.
Skaff?
I mean, you can't choose against Islam at this point. I think Islam's going to run through him. I think he's going to take him down, and he's going to stay down. Dan Hooker, his grappling's pretty good, right? Like, he's got some slick stuff. We've seen him use some, especially, again, completely agree, Drew. He's got some really cool front headlock stuff, some great guillotines, but not to the level to make that effective against Islam. I think Islam beats him 10 times out of 10, I think this is an easy fight for Islam.
Hunter?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Islam too. To be honest with you, I don't think his grappling's at that level. I love Dan Hooker. He's been in my favorite fight of all time with Dustin Poirier, and like he's definitely been tested. But I also like this fight because it's like a chance to see how good Islam really is. Like he just goes and puts it on Dan Hooker, then like I'm ready to see him start going with the upper echelon of that division.
Raph?
Am I supposed to say Hooker? Because I feel bad. Listen, dude, we're at a point now where this man's been away from his family for so long. We're pulling for him, and then you get down to making the pick, and you say, "Oh, well, who's he going against?" Oh, that doesn't look good, because you're going against somebody with a 20-1 record, and Islam's wins are no slouch. Like he's got a very good record. He has done incredible things, and really, you're just kind of going off if you're going for Hooker. Just a weird statistical error. Like you were going for the margin of error, honestly, if you were going for Hooker. And I would love to be wrong. That is something that if I'm hedging bets and I was actually betting on him, I would say something to the effect of, can I get in on some random ass shit that says how long he lasts? Because I think the motive and the actual momentum is going with Islam. And it hurts to say that because that dude was really committed to giving this fight to the fans, and I would love to see him go back home to his family with a W.
Yeah, if there's like any justice in the world, you know, and if we could all, because I think, like you said, everybody's heart's with Dan Hooker. He's had just this horrible time away from his family. I mean, the guy's been away from his family for months now, and was going to go back to Australia, but hey, he gets offered this awesome chance to go fight Islam in Abu Dhabi. He takes it, and now he's a couple of months away from seeing his family. And so we'd all love to see him win, but it's just not going to happen. And I saw, like, you know, the footwork thing. I hear you. Dan Hooker's great on his feet. And unless he can finish this thing with kind of like a Conor McGregor, piece him up first 2 minutes, if it goes past 2 minutes, it's not happening.
I think I have one caveat, which is I just don't want him to lose the same way he lost to Chandler. So if he's going to lose, I don't want it to be in like 10 seconds because I think actual tears may go down my face as I'm watching it live. I might be like, dude, that's because even then it was hard to watch with him and Chandler where I go, oh, good for Chandler. That's pretty well, that's not great. That's kind of my only ask on that one, I think.
What about the Peter Yan fight? Peter Yan is fighting Corey Sandhagen. That's going to be a banger. What are y'all's thoughts on that one?
I mean, it's definitely fight of the night. This is the one I'm most excited for. This is for the title. I mean, yeah, Aljamain Sterling's the guy, but yes, quotations, he's not, you know. And the TJ Dillashaw versus Sandhagen fight, very controversial. TJ won the sport, but Sandhagen won the fight. And so I think we're seeing probably the best two guys in the division go at it for the interim belt. And this is a toss-up for me. I really think this fight could go either way. Peter Yan's looked incredible. He's looked unbeatable. So I can't choose against the true champion and Peter Yan. But, man, that's definitely a fight I would not bet on.
I'm rolling with I feel the same way on the outcome side, but I'm rooting for Corey like real hard. Probably like one of my most exciting fighters to watch. Like super sick style. So fun to watch. I'm kind of hoping he can pull it off. But yeah, I would probably bet on Peter too.
I'm going. I'm biased here because me and Corey are both on Team Elevation, but I'm definitely rocking with Corey on this one. He's just like super cool dude, like kind of like a everyman kind of guy, just a dude from Colorado that's like put in the work. He's like on some real life Rocky shit, going over there to fight like this Russian wrecking machine. Like I hope the best for him.
Raph?
What am I supposed to say after that? We've got somebody who trains with him. I'm going to be like, yeah, fuck that. He's going to die. No, I like him a lot. I actually thought he won the fight with TJ. That's my opinion. I don't know, man. I want to ask the panel this, and then I'm gonna get to some analysis. But did you guys think that that little knee he did, was he trolling Aljamain Sterling? Because everybody was like, "Oh my god, he's kneeing. He even does his practice. No wonder he's an idiot." Do you think that was a troll, or do you think he's legitimately just like, "So I kick here, I knee here. That's good, right?"
It's
For
it's
sure
tough
a
to
troll.
it's tough to say with Russians, right? Because like Russian sense of humor is completely different than like they are just different people. Russians are just different. You see a video and somebody's doing backflips off of a 6-story building into like snow, you're like, it's in Russia. Like there's no doubt in your mind it's in Russia. And so who knows? Like in training, if you found out they like knee each other to the head and stuff like that, I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay. Analysis. Here's what I would say. If I'm a little worried, potentially on Yan just imposing a will that is hard to break. If I'm worried about maybe him putting a lot of pressure on him. Here's the good news that I know about this. Like that last fight, if you had any reservations about Corey, they should be gone. Like he is ready to take on this top tier talent. So for me, I am excited by this fight. I do lean Yan. If only in that this should really just be a continuation of him defending a belt, but you know, rules being what they are. Eek, yikes. And this was, of course, supposed to be a rematch for the belt. It was supposed to be Sterling, I thought, at this event that was supposed to be taking him on, and then he had to fall out because of injury, because of lingering neck, because of illegalness. So, yeah, the reason why I asked that was because I think Sterling was like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's still doing that dumb shit. And I go, this sounds like somebody who's just reinterpreting what it is. Like, I was like, I don't know that you get the troll.
I'm a big Sterling fan. I love watching the dude fight. I loved his come up. I loved his title run. You know, he lost that fight. It was no contest, but he got severely outworked and out techniqued by Jan. But big Sterling fan, and I don't want to say he's kind of entering though the Tyron Woodley category, right? Where he's kind of soft, you know, he says things and you're like, you kind of roll your eyes like, look, Aljamain, you're the champion right now, but there's a huge asterisk to it. Woodley would kind of do this, you know, just some of Woodley's press conferences and things he said, just kind of, again, roll your eyes and go, okay, like somebody take the mic from this guy. Like, so.
You ever been hit so hard you thought you should release a mixtape?
Luckily, no. I'm waiting for Hunter. I'm waiting for that from Hunter. Hunter to get hit so hard, we get the Hunter rap album.
You know, I'm nervous Hunter gonna hit me so hard one of these days if I ever get to train with him. So I'm already looking out for one thing. Hunter, can I ask this? What was Sandhagen like when he came back to train after that TJ fight? I'm assuming he came back even more focused.
Yeah, dude, the dude's like a machine. Like he is like one of the most hyper focused like people that I've ever been around in my life. Like he's definitely got that championship mentality, and I think he can win it. The good thing for the UFC with this fight is that no matter what happens, there's a good next fight because Corey lost to Aljo. So if Corey wins, he can go fight Aljo for the rematch. It's a great fight, and then if Pewter wins, he can go and get his title back.
Follow up. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I was just going to ask, like, what do you feel that you've taken most from like getting to work with him so far?
I'm pretty much just like a perseverance kind of thing. Like you see, like I saw a picture of him the other day, like when he was really young and started at the gym out in Aurora. And I was just like, wow, this guy's like just really put in the work and made things happen.
I was just going to say, Keelan, I really want to hear your analysis on this fight, particularly who has better stand-up. Like, who has better boxing, you think, between these two?
So I think they're both great on the feet. I think the X factor in this on the feet is going to be Corey Sandhagen's movement. Peter Yan is a more stationary fighter. He kind of stalks his prey and walks them down, and Corey's not going to sit still and let him walk him down and put his back up against the fence. He's very dynamic. And so if I had to give the edge to one of them, I honestly would put it on Corey. I think Corey's movement's going to create some issues. And if Corey's cardio can hold up, I think he'll beat him on the feet.
Yeah, I agree too.
Let's talk about the championship fight, though. The one that's the main event. Jan Blachowicz is making his title defense against Glover Teixeira, who a lot of people didn't think would make it back to the spot that he's in to compete for the title again. And by sheer will, and he's forced his way up there. He's taken out the guys. They can't stop him. So here he is getting another title shot. What do y'all think?
I have no idea how the hell he does what he does. This dude is the master of getting rocked and somehow finding a single leg, getting a takedown, and choking the dude out. I've never seen anything like it. There's just been a couple of times I'm like, he's grabbing the leg and now he's on his back choking him. Like, you're dead. Like, he was supposed to be dead. That Thiago Santos fight, like, I don't know how the hell. I just don't know. Defies everything that I believe when I see this 42 now? Like, this 42-year-old guy take the damage he can take, and you just can't put him away. So, I mean, I think Jan is as bad as they come. This dude's a bad man. But, I mean, is Glover a zombie? Like, is he just going to stand up and find a way to to Jan's back and choke him? I don't know. But I got Jan. I would feel pretty comfortable betting on Jan, and I would be furious when Glover does the zombie get up and somehow finds his back and chokes.
Hunter, what do you got?
I'm leaning towards Jan, but I want Glover to win. I just like you said, I like Glover. He wins these impossible ass matches, and then he I don't know. He's just like someone's dad. He's in his early 40s, still doing the damn thing. Like, Jan's already touched the title, so I want Glover to touch it as well.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a ton of MMA recently, and I mean, I'm also surprised that Glover is back in that position, and I'm rooting for him too. I mean, I remember watching old Glover Teixeira ADCC matches, so I've kind of always, as far as heavyweight fighters go, I'm not always as excited about the bigger guys, but sometimes I don't know. I always kind of liked watching Glover, and I'm definitely rooting for him to get the win. As far as bigger guys go, he's one of the guys I've always thought was really interesting to watch. And like you said, always down, looks like he's almost out of the fight and finds a way to win. I think it would be cool to see something like that here, down and out moment and kind of snatch victory from the jaws of defeat kind of situation.
Rolf, so instead of hearing your thoughts in terms of is Glover going to win or is Jan going to win, I want to hear your thoughts about the light heavyweight division and the title as a whole. Now that John Jones is out of the picture, Jan is the champ. Is he the champ just because John left and somebody had to get it, or is he the true champ? Is this guy really hard to beat? I mean, we saw him against Israel Adesanya. He looked great. Is this light heavyweight title going to start changing hands until it kind of lands on the next real title holder, or are we seeing him right now in John?
Well, I had a joke ready, so it's going to ruin this joke, but okay. The joke was supposed to be whenever you see Glover fighting, you get the Jumanji meme. What year is this? So, all right, I guess I'm going to cross that out. Not necessary. All right, let's look at this. John Jones. That's an interesting question for this reason. You're asking if he's not the one true champ. I could have answered that 3-4 years ago and said, I don't know. I don't think so. John Jones, he'll come back. He won't have any more legal issues. I promise you. Now we're at a point where we probably need to start figuring MMA without John Jones. And we should have been thinking that several years ago. I think that man will likely fight again because we're a crazy sport, but I don't want to see him fight anymore. I'm good on the John Jones. Honestly, he has a great run. He's still one of the highest fight IQs I've ever seen in my entire life. So having said that, yeah, I think Jan is fucking the shit. I think Jan is fucking crushing it, but I think the longer question is, what is the implication? Like, how long does he run? How long does he reign? A fight against Izzy is hard to put into context, if only for this reason. You got to see, like, yo, Izzy's apparently this really good striker, and he's supposed to be able to maybe have some speed. And in that fight, Jan was doing a great job of closing a lot of holes. And I think if we are looking in terms of the fight between him and Glover, Glover just has way too many holes for me to say, yeah, he's got a shot at this. And as an old person, I'd love to see another old person win. It's just difficult. But for the entire division, I think Jan can have a nice little 5-6 run if he plays his cards right. Because as it is, both of these gents are coming in with 5-win streaks, which is kind of cool to see. But if you look over at Glover's losses, some of those give you a little bit better clues, you know, losing to Anthony Johnson and Gus for KOs. And then looking over at Jan, you know, his last knockout was against Thiago Santos, getting knocked out there. And that dates back to February 2019. Previously, before, there were decision losses. So I think that man can probably be in it for the thick of it, but I don't know who you would like to see beat him, though. I guess that's the question. Who in that division, if he gets past it, let's not look past Glover, even though old, but is there somebody in the division you'd like to see try and take it?
No way, dude. I like Jan a lot. I think what it really did was it kind of screwed up Adesanya, because Adesanya, like, he's got no fights left at 185. Paulo Costa's out, becoming a fat boy, party boy, whatever. We got, I mean, Robert Whittaker. Does anybody care? No, not really. I mean, that division's done. Like, Adesanya needed to win 205 to really stay interesting for me. You know, there's just no title challengers at 185. And Jan beating him as impressive as he did, he kind of defended the 205-pound division. He was like, hey, you need to stay your skinny ass down there at 185. Like, this is the big boys. And I want to see Jan. I think he's capable of, 5-6 fights as Raf said. But I don't think that Jan has the talent and the technical ability to have anywhere near the impact that John Jones did on the division.
Let me read you the rankings just to give you an idea of how he may be running this division. The rankings go as follows on the UFC fight: Glover Teixeira, Yuri Alexander, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes, Magomed Ankalaev, Volkan Ozdemir, Nikita Krylov, and Johnny Walker. I don't think any of those people give the current Jan a problem.
It's so sad because, like, back when I was first starting, light heavyweight was like the division, it was like Chuck Liddell, Shogun, all those like super badasses. And now it's like nobody, and John's not even there. He's fucking off. So it's like, where does it go? Somebody will emerge, but it might not be for a while.
Yeah,
right,
I don't know.
Let's switch up divisions. We also have another exciting fight on the main card. Kazmat is making his return. He was struggling. I can't remember exactly what his issues were, but they were like health-related. Yeah, COVID, health-related issues, and he's making his return. He said the hype train will be back on after Saturday night. What are y'all's thoughts? Is he overhyped, or is the man serious? Drew, let's start with you.
I don't think he's overhyped. I was buying as much stock on Khamzat as there is. Those 3 fights, I don't know if it was in 90 days or 60 days. It was like just like back to back, and everyone was super impressive. I think he got the first fight was he dominated the guy, and then he got the Darce, and then he got that super quick knockout. I think I like the hand power. I'm stoked that he's back. I thought he was gonna stay gone. I kind of believed when he said, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm really, really, really sick. I'm curious how the COVID might affect his cardio. I've heard of a lot of cases where people aren't quite, it's taken them a long time to get their win back. I'm curious if maybe Dana White, is putting a little bit of pressure on Khamzat, giving some financial incentives to get back in the game. I don't know if he's getting back too early or not. I was really surprised to see that he was coming back at all. I really did think he was going to stay gone. Even that might sound stupid, but I thought he was maybe going to stay away. So I don't know. I'm back on the train. And as long as he's fighting until I see a bad performance, I'm rolling with Khamzat heavy.
Skaff.
Obviously excited to see his fight. He's got a very tough opponent. I mean, Z is one of the, what's his last name? It's Ling. God, I'm totally screwing his name up, but
Yeah, it's like
dude's
Ling
super tough.
Jling or something.
Yeah. So my pardons, dude's a bad dude, man. He's a top 15. It's his first top 15 opponent, and that's what he was asking for before he took this hiatus. Obviously, COVID really affected him. There was talks like, you can never believe the retirement, right? Like, especially this day and age with social media. I mean, guys they're having a bad day and they just retire. So I never believe the retirement talk. But this is a tough fight. I think we're really going to find out how good this kid is. I mean, all the reports from that, he trains in the same camp as Gustafson, and all reports is that this dude is just a freak of nature. They've never seen anything like him. 3 fights, as Drew said, in 60 days. I don't see a title, though. I don't see a title anytime soon. I think the 170-pound division, Kamaru Usman is my pound-for-pound best fighter. I think Usman's a bad dude, and I don't see anybody beat him, and I definitely don't see Khamzat doing it.
Hunter.
Yeah, I'm on the Khamzat hype train as well. Like I like the way he like his whole gimmick, like with him like being the scary dude and stuff, and he like really plays it up well, or maybe that's just really him. But like I kind of dig it, and like he just goes out there and starches people. So I think he's going to do the same thing.
Me too.
Rough.
I'm not on the hype train, but I appreciate what he does. I can tell you, if you were wondering, what that conversation went with him and Dana White, which was, "Hey, fucking Khabib #2, you fucking get this fucking shit under control and just show the fuck back up." Just a guess as to how that probably went. I'm going to tell you this. I like this fight. I think it's a sleeper fight for this reason. There's unpredictability for it. You think you know how it's going to go. I think the conventional wisdom is that Khamzat is going to come back in form that we saw him before all of this happened, because those 3 wins that he racked up were very impressive. So even if you're not on the hype train, you got to acknowledge what it is that he's bringing to the table, because it's impressive. Like, he's got the right skills that you need to really, really do well in that division. Having said that, Lee is ranked within that top 15, so they have their eyes on him. His 2 most recent career losses in the UFC have been decision losses. So at the very least, if you are asking for that top tier talent and you're asking for a fight that's going to get you eyeballs, if you make a statement against Khamzat, then guess what? You're back into a better conversation than you used to be, because it is a very dangerous fight for you. I know when people talk about long COVID, it is a statistical anomaly that you find yourself where you have blood and stuff like that are the results. Like, we all saw those photos of him at his sink where he was talking about his health issues. And I'm always of the mindset of, hey, listen, dude, MMA is not the place where you half-ass it, or you either want to be there or you don't. And for him, I wish him all the success in his return. I am intrigued to see where he is going to be at mentally. But if I'm a guessing person, I think he'll acclimate just fine back into it. But if you are Lee, this is a huge opportunity at a very, very big card, and they have slotted it in a very good position. I'd also like to point out to people, if you are planning to watch this weekend, it's on the wacky time. So please plan accordingly. It's not going to be our time. They got to do it on their time. So for us here in the Pacific area, I have to wake up early, because I don't know if you guys have seen how many fights are on this card. There are 15 goddamn fights on this card. That's too much. If you want to wake up and watch the prelims, you probably have to wake up yesterday.
I like him. I like him in the mornings, man. I'm too old, bro. The other stuff's past my bedtime, and it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So I'll wake up, watch them fights at noon. It's the way it should be.
So Hunter, have you ever fallen asleep during a main event card?
Dude, I've fallen asleep like 3 fights before the main event before.
Oh no, dude. That makes me a little sad. All right. Well, for you, I'm happy. For the rest of us who have a normal ability to
he's-
stay up like people.
Well, here's the thing
All right.
about Cosmat, though. I just feel like now I'm not as interested. Like, I was all aboard the hype train when he was fighting every 3-4 weeks, and I thought that I was ready for this dude to do like 8 fights in a year. But now that he's been all this time off, I'm like, until he starts doing this gimmick again, where he's going up to 170 or down to 170, up to 185, I'm not as interested. I'm also going to say that and be honest.
I think that tells us more about you than
I
the situation,
liked
Skaff.
It was just different.
I just liked when he was around and gave up his body multiple times and was willing to sacrifice for my entertainment. But now that he's not and he had COVID that was really harmful, I don't like him.
Yeah.
See, to me, if you had shown me those 3 fights in a longer than 60-day time span, I still would have been incredibly impressed. Like, I think he has that X factor. Like when I first saw Johnny Hendricks fight or John Jones fight or Chris
Understood, yeah.
Weidman, like some of those guys really early on before they were fighting top 10 opposition, I still just, there was a quality with their movement, or, you know, or I'm just like, man, I don't know if I see a lot of people, you know, giving a ton of problems to this dude for at least a while. I don't know. I think people will be back on the Khamzat train if he gets the W in any factor other than like a split decision or something like that.
I'll tell you what I was thinking, which is I love the work inside the cage. The minute he got outside the cage and he had literally went through the Khabib playbook of I smish, and people are like, oh snap. I'm like, no, I don't care. This is
It
boring.
didn't feel organic to you?
No, because it's just literally like, it's like saying a catchphrase or a joke that you know will go over with a crowd and just being like, smish, say the line, smish. And people go like, oh my God, he's going to smash. I love him so much. And my thing is or you're talking about the timing of saying smish?
No. I'm saying the timing with Khabib winding down his career. I think now that you mention it, it is kind of easy to run off the heels of that. Right, people kind of knew Khabib was winding down, so it is kind of easy to look for a replacement.
Yeah,
so
you're literally
I see
like,
what you're saying.
Oh, you're just new Khabib. Okay, and you're literally like Khabib's handing a baton to be like, just take my gimmick and run with it. Yeah, jiu-jitsu would be easy, or Sambo, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to wear a shirt. Like, to me, those are very silly things to do. And I think you haven't reported on the biggest news that is going down at UFC 267, and I would like to bring this up to the panel, which is Hezbollah is going to be there. Now, how have we not covered this? Because the entire world is in love with this dude.
Is that the kid? Are you talking about the kid?
The little kid.
Gotcha.
Who's not a kid. He's old. How do I put this? I understand the appeal, but to me, it only furthers the idea when we make fun of like a Kim Kardashian that I go, no, we've got our own version of this. Like, this kid just does really stupid videos that people go like, oh shit, it's Hezbollah. I would give my life for him. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't. This kid's literally just doing some nonsense and y'all go batshit crazy over it. But yes, he's going to be there cheering on. I think it's Kazmat or Islam. I'm not sure which of the two that he's homies with, but
Islam.
It's Islam. Okay, thank you. The fact that you know that only proves my point.
I didn't watch the embeddeds, bro.
Wait. Is he in the embedded? Did he make the embedded?
Somebody asked him, or maybe it was at the press conference, asking about it because they asked Dan Hooker about it because he was talking shit about Dan Hooker.
Oh, fuck. God damn it. See, listen, guys. Can any of you explain to me the appeal of this kid?
No.
And
I can't believe it died down by now.
See, I think the thing is we're always looking for something. That's what I'm saying about Cosmat. Like, Cosmat was doing something different. Connor did something different. Cosmat, like, for Cosmat to get back in the, like, man, I'm all aboard, like, he's got to fight 2 guys. If he's going to fight once a year, he's got to fight 2 guys in the cage at once. Like, that's what I'm looking for next. All right? Like,
if he gets a round 1 finish, you'll be on board again, dude. You'll
be
excited.
No, that's it. Remember how you were saying, like, he, like, got that, like, finish in 30 seconds? He's like, I want another fight tonight. Like, that's what I'm talking about. When he does that, Let's give him the championship. Give him that BMF belt.
I immediately felt a wave of sympathy for all of Skaff's students. Because now I know that if they get ranked up, they got to bring you like a pie. They got to be on their best behavior. Be like, oh, that was cool. You got one submission today.
They've got to one up the previous student. It's like, no, I've already seen this. Like, oh wow, you want a Naga tournament? Great. Like, you got a Naga belt. Great. Like, yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna tally up the points here. While I do that, I want to hear a couple thoughts just while we close it out on the PFL. The PFL just kind of closed out. A couple people, I think they gave out $6 million. So if any of you guys watch that, the big one, I think her name is Kayla Harrison, the chick fighter that's like undefeated and just smashing everybody. What are y'all's thoughts? I think she's a free agent now. Is she going to come beat up Amanda Nunes, or is she going to come get beat up by Amanda Nunes? And the other exciting one was Clarissa Shields getting her first pro MMA loss. So while I tally up the scores, y'all chat.
For the fighter side, like I think she's like super dope because she went in there and she fought in the PFL and she made like those $2 million checks or whatever and like now I guess if she wants to go fight Amanda Nunes for $200,000, she can. It's just like I like it when people stick it to the UFC sometimes.
No, amen, man. I love what the PFL, was doing, giving out those $1 million. I remember how sad I was when Vinny lost the finals because Vinny looked like amazing, and I was like, "Come on, Vinny, win the $1 million!" And last he didn't, but I loved what the PFL is doing. Now I think Kayla Harrison, if she comes over, she's getting killed. Man, and nobody's beating Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes is the baddest chick that's ever lived, ever.
Yeah, she doesn't have a shot.
Ever.
All right. We have an official winner. So it would have been a tie, but there was one poot given today to Skaff.
Oh.
Man, I forget. I think the poot was for saying that Paulo Costa was the most famous active Brazilian fighter in the UFC. And I can't accept that that's the case while Jose Aldo is still a living legend.
Okay.
And doing well.
I hear you.
So the winner
is
Rafa Esparza with 11 points.
I don't know how I got any of those points, but
where are the points coming from? Just for being a nice.
Also, y'all had no clue that we were getting pointed on this, but I would have gone harder in the paint because listen, I can't beat Hunter in a jiu-jitsu round, but I will 100% try and rack up Neon Belly points verbally while I can.
Well, all right. So the winner of this show always gets their own solo segment to plug your podcast, your tournaments, your online websites, whatever it is that you got. So go ahead, Ralph. What do you got for the people?
Knocked over my thing. Okay, well, you can tell I'm using my time wisely. All right. I'm glad we're doing this. My thanks to the panel here. My thanks to you guys who are watching on this. Of course, you can catch me weekly on the Grappling Hour, one of the shows that I host. This one is dedicated a little bit just to the grappling side of things. Its spin-off show, of course, is coming from the mothership Verbal Tap. You guys can listen to that. It's me and Kevin Phillips every week giving you guys nonsense. Just this week, we did a preview show with some of the same jokes, but better told. Over on this week's episode, we did preview the UFC card with one Jenna Bishop, who's coming off a major win for LFA. I also want to tell you guys a few things. Number one, next week, we will be doing an ADCC fight companion. That's right. We're going to have a whole bunch of friends dropping in, and we will be watching the trials. So if you guys want to check it out, it's at Grappling Hour. We will be on both days, and I'm probably doing a fight companion for the UFC 267 that night because I hate my life. And I want to tell you guys one of the things that I want to say before I get on out of here. So Brandon, when he told me that he was going to be making a show called Around the Mat, I was like, that's funny. That sounds familiar. In fact, I created a show called Around the Mat with our good friend Paul Moran. And I just kind of ran it by him. And I said, you know what? I thought about it, and it's totally cool if you do the same show name because we did a panel show just like this. We do nonsense because it's a continuation in honor of our good friend Paul Moran. Paul Moran was the host of Open Mat Radio. He was a beast of a host. He was a contemporary to many of us. So back in the day when there weren't too many podcasts, Paul was one of the first people to get up and interview people in a honest and a very, very excellent form. And I miss him continuously, but I felt like y'all are doing a great show. And I think it's important that we continue to pay the sport forward, especially on the foundation of the people like Paul Moran. So I have bequeathed the name to y'all. I hope that you guys run with it and do well. I know you will, but I want you to know that now you are carrying on the tradition of good folks like Paul.
Well, it's our pleasure, Raf. It was a pleasure to have you. Hunter, pleasure to have